Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive, bringing you guys a quick little video today talking about the shiny odds in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now this is a topic that is much debated and heavily thought about, and I really don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. When you're shiny hunting, you should just shiny hunt, and the shiny will pop up whenever it decides to pop up. But nevertheless, I figured I would share this information with you guys because I have to admit to the entire world that I was wrong. The chain does indeed seem to matter for shiny hunting with the SOS or call-in method, as I made my tutorial a few weeks back, which I will link in the description below. But I'm going to talk about the odds in this video, and I am actually on a Reddit post, which again I will link in the description. And big shout outs to Falo and Shadow of Darkness for the information, and to Swordstone for posting this thread. So shouts to everyone all around. I'm just trying to report the information to you guys to spread it out to a larger audience. So here's the dealio. We know SOS chaining. If you don't know the details, you knock a Pokemon down to 1 HP, use an adrenaline order, have a call in a buddy, and those Pokemon that get called in have a higher chance of having a number of things, different stats or IVs. They have a higher chance of having their hidden ability, and we have lots of reason to believe that they have a higher shiny chance. Now, I genuinely didn't believe that the chain seemed to matter. From my experience and what I've seen online, and just kind of using what we knew about previous games, it didn't seem that the chain really mattered for DexNab, and it didn't seem the chain really mattered for Friend Safari. So I was kind of basing it off of that, and also trying to just emphasize the idea that we shouldn't be stressing so much about it. But it does seem there is some mathematical reason to believe that we need to go to certain points in our shiny hunting, and that'll give us a better chance to shiny hunt. So we might as well maximize those odds. So let's take a look at this. Now, we did know about this on the IV perspective. We did know that when you get to 30, you have 4 perfect IVs. I demonstrated this on my stream, catching about 20 Dittos. All of them had 4 perfect IVs. I caught number 31 every time, pretty much. So we knew that. So this is really good information here about the IVs, or individual values. You'll have no perfect IVs the first 4, then 5 to 9 you get 1 guaranteed. But the interesting thing here is at 255 that seems to reset. So you don't have any guarantees after 255, which means the optimal chain length here for stats is between 30 and 255. Hidden abilities, this is actually pretty good information here too. We have 0 to 9, a 0% chance of hidden abilities, so that's great to know. 10 to 19, 5% chance. 20 to 29 is a 10% chance, and 30 to 255 is a 15% chance of finding the hidden ability. So that's really not that great when you're trying to get hidden ability shinies. I can tell you, like last night, for example, I was trying to get an Infiltrator Zubat, and I did have to go to above a 30 chain to actually get that. I didn't have any luck prior, and I checked every single Zubat prior. So I'm not too surprised to hear that. So if you want to get hidden abilities, you might as well just grind it out to about 20 and then start checking them, because you have a much better chance at that point. Anyway, shiny chance, here is what everyone wants to know. The length of the chain from 0 to 69, there's still some question marks about that. We don't know at what point during the 0 to 69 chain that it changes and you have a higher shiny chance. But if you don't know, the game's shiny chance is 1 in 4,096. That's what it is. When you just encounter a random Pokemon in the wild, it's 1 in 4,096. So the way this is being explained is every time you get a Pokemon that gets called in after a chain of 70, once you reach 70, that 71st Pokemon or whatever, or the 70th Pokemon I suppose, gets 3 extra rolls for a shiny chance. So this random number generator is going to essentially roll those dice 3 more times to determine whether or not that Pokemon is a shiny or not. So you could do some quick math here and make it 4 in 4096, meaning the chance of getting a shiny is 1 in 1024 once you reach a 70 chain. Now at some point during that chain, there is reason to believe, maybe at 30, maybe again at 50, whatever it is, that you have a higher shiny chance. And that's what really led me to believe that there was no chain, because so many people were getting shinies at very, very early on, like 30s, myself included. I mean, a lot of my shinies came in the 30s. So very interesting to note that it does seem to have some sort of a scaling increase, and that increase is capped between 70 and 255. Once you hit 255, you might as well start over. There's really no advantage to staying in the battle. You might as well just start over. With the shine chance, you're looking at 3 in 4096 is what the shine chance does. Then it gets boosted to 6 in 4096. So I was right in believing that the shine charm does affect this method. So once you hit 70 and you have the shine charm, you're down to 1 in 683, which really isn't that great. It's actually not as good as what we believe Friend Safari to be, but that is still pretty awesome nevertheless. So very, very cool. So now we know that with the shine charm, definitely worth the effort. Charmer, which if you guys don't know, the Shiny Charm only takes 300 Pokemon in the Alola region to get. You need your Ultra Beast, you need your Tapus, and you need the rest of the decks, but it's only 300 Pokemon, so definitely the easiest Shiny Charm to get. And then from that point forward, we can, assume, okay, 1 in 683, got it, so you get to 70, you have the maximized chance of getting a shiny. And here's some other information about the Masuda method. Kind of same thing, 1 in 512, which is a number I alluded to before, which is what I kind of assumed, right? So you have 1 in a 512 chance to get a shiny out of an egg. But again, that does not matter in terms of a chain, so please keep that in mind when you're shiny hunting while hatching eggs. There is no chain mechanic, similarly to Friend Safari and what we believe Deck Snap to be. This talks a little bit about the counter. There's an 8-bit counter to count the chain length, so it goes up to a maximum of 255 and then rolls back to 0, so that it is possible to chain to 280 and only catch a Pokemon with 3 perfect IVs. So it kind of resets in a way, it seems. So I guess you're probably better off sticking with it. I don't know. And here's another point that I wanted to bring up and I brought up earlier is somewhere between 1 and 69, there's 2 extra dice rolls essentially happening in there. I don't know where, maybe at 30, maybe at 50, maybe at 20, maybe at 40, somewhere in there, those chances are going to increase. So all the more reason to just stay in the battle, get to that 70 to maximize your chances, and try to go as long as you can until you get a shiny, which is really what we would have been doing anyway. If you're being honest here, you'd probably most likely be attempting to get the longest chain, and that's why we did the Smeargle guide and things like that. So I ultimately was wrong in assuming that there was no chain. I'm happy to admit it. It's great that we have the data now, so I'm excited about that. So a couple other things here. What will break the chain? A lot of people ask this. If you leave the battle, the chain will be broken, obviously, and then if you knock out the original caller, only if there's no other evolutionary relatives on its side. That seems more complicated than it really is. Basically, if you're chaining Corsolas and a Marini shows up and you knock out the Corsola, the chain's over because Marini won't call in another Pokemon. So it's pretty obvious that the chain would be over at that point. You don't need to overcomplicate this. If you're chaining for Carbanks and a Sableye gets called in and you knock out the Carbank, then Sableye's not going to call for any more friends. That's normal. That's just how it works. Kangaskhan isn't calling in Cubones, and so on and so forth. Switching out your Pokemon mid-fight is totally fine. Knocking out the original caller, as long as they have someone else in the field that's of their same evolutionary line. So Pichu calls in Pichu, you knock out the original Pichu, you're good. Pichu calls in a Hipini, you knock out the Pichu, that's it. Hipini is not calling in more Pichu, so that explains that. Then there's some more information here about EV training, which obviously we did know that, getting more EVs from Pokemon being called in, so we'll skip that because that's not really about the shiny rate. And the call rates, we did realize this as well, that each Pokemon had different call rates. So again, I'm going to throw all this information in the description below, guys. Lots of good information here. And again, big props to Swordstone for posting this, and even more props to the homies, Foxhole, it looks like. Who do we get here? Falo and Shadow of Darkness. Just want to make sure I shout out everyone. But here's the data, here's the information, here's the results. We know now. I'm going to make sure that there's a command in my Twitch stream so everyone knows what is going down. And I, for one, am very glad to know. This definitely makes life easier for everyone. And I'm happy that we finally have these odds. These guys are super duper awesome and getting into the data of the game and determining all this information. So props to them, guys. Very, very cool stuff here. Hope you guys were stoked about this. Hit that like button down below. Definitely check out the original posts and everything as well. And that's gonna be that for me, guys. My name is Dan. I'll also go by aDrive, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.